Welcome to the Trades Podcast, a podcast about the business of home improvement and promoting the trades to young adults. In this podcast, we talk with business owners, educators, and professionals about the benefits, skills, and related experiences of the home improvement business. Tips to help you with being successful from entry into the trades or established business owners. In this podcast, we hope to influence some young adults that the trades as a career is a great option leading to full and prosperous life. I'm Danny Torres, an MC, DJ, and podcaster, inspiring young adults by shining light onto career opportunities in our world today.
And I'm Jeff Mudd, home improvement contractor, writer of the Millionaire Carpenter series, and podcaster.
Stay tuned to 15 to 20 minutes of insightful tips.
Happy days, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at the Ignite BBB podcast studio right here in San Diego, California. My name is DJ Danny.
And I'm Jeff Mudd.
Wonderful. This is the tradespodcast.com, promoting the trades, the professions of home improvement right here to all the young adults and anybody that's listening out there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show here today. We have a very special guest. Check it out. We have Gregg Cantor with Murray Lampert. Gregg, how you doing?
I'm great. Great to be here.
Awesome. This is great to have you on the show. A veteran in the home improvement side of things, and I would have to say, a staple. I just told Gregg, I was like, if you just YouTube him, his name comes up, all good stuff, no bad stuff. But Gregg, let us know a little bit about yourself and Murray Lampert.
Okay, well, Murray Lampert was established in 1975 by my grandfather, actually, Murray. I'm the third generation in the company, and my daughter Rachel is the fourth generation. We've been doing this for 47 years. Our anniversary was actually in March, 47 years in business. So we really like working with families, and we specialize in design build, everything from kitchen remodeling to whole houses. And that pretty much is where we stay, is in the residential market.
That's amazing. Yeah. 47 years in March. That's awesome. That's a big number to have.
It is. Well, one of the questions we have for you, Gregg, is when you first started working for your grandfather, how much did he pay you?
That's a good question. So it's a long answer because, I started out working summers, and then I did work full time doing carpentry, but then I was still in school, and I was actually doing two jobs. And I was ready to go full-time, and I went to my grandfather and I said, I really want to work full-time. I'm willing to work for free and earn my keep, and learn the business from the ground up. And then when he felt that I was worthy of getting paid, then it was up to him. Well, that wasn't very long, because within a few months I was running about 30 projects.
I've heard Gregg talk about this in the past, and one of the things that really we want to point out is if you want something, be willing to give first, as opposed to always have expectations.
Absolutely. And I haven't lost, I'm still grounded, and I was just saying before we started the show that nothing's beneath me. So if I have to go out to a job to put a doorknob on or, do some pickup, it will never be beneath me, and that's what a small business, family business is all about.
Yeah. Customer service with Gregg's company has always been top notch.
Yeah, and that ties into a huge thing that we were talking about a little bit. Also, is the culture. Your company culture that you have is crucial, and even nowadays for the generations that are coming into the trades. Whether young or even on the veteran side of things, anybody that's been working with a long time, that's the reason why they've stayed, because they've seen you there hands-on, right. In the trenches with everybody, being ready to jump in at any point, right?
Right, and what's really exciting is my daughter has been in the business now about 8 years after she graduated from college, and she's brought new energy to the company, youth, and we are much more diverse. We have about half female in our company now. We have probably 40% millennials. And so we've learned how to properly onboard and train people, and they're thriving in our environment.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. No, I think that's key because We were talking a little bit about how there's kind of a shortage in employees, a shortage in staff for a lot of companies, but strictly even within the trades industry is huge. We talked about in the past in other episodes of the great resignation that's been happening all over, I would say, the whole country and possibly even the whole world of, the type of training that's not happening within the trades industry. What's some experience that you have been probably running across from, during this time?
That's a good question, because from a hiring standpoint, since COVID, we've doubled the size of our company to 24, and we have not had trouble hiring designers and project consultants and those kind of things. But we feel it in our trade partners who have laborers and artisans and craftsmen, and that's where it's really it's tight, and the workforce has shrunk there, and it does impact the jobs. It impacts how long it takes a job to be done, and everyone in the trades is super busy, partly because they just can't keep up.
Yeah, the backlog. So the timing on getting a full remodel project done for you now is probably extended a little bit simply because of the backlog.
Definitely. I mean, the process takes longer. Our process is deeper, but also when we're in the field, when we're building, it takes a little bit longer because everyone's busy, and we don't just pick up anybody. We use the same trade partners all the time, and so we're willing to wait, and we just communicate to our customers well so that they don't get frustrated, and they understand the time that we're in right now.
Yeah. I think and that's a great point to have, because understanding what type of environment that we're in, and what is needed to get involved in, it just shows that there is that shortage, and having to work with the people that you worked with for over many years, even if you see them struggling, it's what is it that you can do,
right?
And that's what the solutions that I think a lot of people are trying to find out. What solutions would you think that people could be putting in place to kind of resolve those issues?
Well, what I see is it starts with high school, and the trade programs that high schools had have kind of shrunk or gone away. Wood shop and metal shop and those things that when I grew up, I mean, I took every industrial class I could take from junior high through high school. And it was really sad. Even at my high school, we had the state-of-the-art wood shop, and they took it away. One day they decided that it just wasn't worthy. So that's one part that I see missing.
Yeah, well, part of it, I think, is just we had the onslaught of the computer and the PC industry.
Yeah.
And it became part of business and education for a lot of kids. It needed to be done, but they did it by funding it by cutting out wood shops so they can buy computers for the computer class.
Right.
And that was a sacrifice that's coming back to bite this country.
I agree with you, and also just having teachers that are qualified to teach the subjects. I don't think there is many now.
There's definitely a shortage of people that are willing to teach right now. The average age for a construction worker, I think, is in the mid-50s right now. And that's the time bomb waiting to happen.
Yeah, and I see that, too, in our business directly. I'm sure you see it in your business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I think is missing is trade schools. For some reason, it seems like they pretty much dried up. There is not a lot of trade schools, and that's where people learn a trade, learn how to make a living for their family, and I think somehow that needs to be put back in place.
There's some real basic job preparation schools out there. Urban Core is sponsored by Home Builders Institute, which is funded by the National Home Builders Association. So it's a national nonprofit that has trade schools all over the country, but they are only training to a very basic level to acclimate a kid. If you want to be a welder, if you want to be a carpenter or whatever, it's really basic stuff. But the next level, getting you from, okay, I am going to be a plumber to a journeyman plumber status or an electrician status, right. That higher level of trades education is definitely what's missing.
And so how do you make it attractive to students, young people that want to learn a trade? How do you make it attractive to them?
Well, personally, I think it's a lot of things. One of the things we talked about in one of the other podcasts was changing the parents' perspective on it. Not all parents should have the expectation that every kid needs to go to college and have a degree. There's a lot of successful people in the trades, whether you own a business or you've just worked your way up to a prominent position as a manager. You can make a darn good living, take care of your family, and have a happiest, properest life. Mm-hmm. So that stigma, I think, needs to be changed too.
I agree with you.
Yeah, there's a huge thing to say about, the culture behind the trades has changed tremendously over the past, say, couple decades. I think we had it with Joe Virgilio talking about how it's not just your uncles that are plumbers now or construction workers. It's people that are really do take the business seriously, that they want to have a professional setting for a lot of people that are coming into the trade, and for their customers and anybody that they're working with, and for anybody to for families, for anybody that's trying to promote it to the kids out there. It is a profession. It is a long-term career that anybody can go into.
Absolutely. I mean, it could just be that's their profession, being a carpenter, or some of these people end up having a bigger business that they build off of their skill.
Yeah. And then if they build and there's technology that goes into it too. There's also like new technology that's getting put out there that provides different skill sets that I think a lot of the younger generation would be able to thrive in a lot more than, say, our average 50-year-old construction worker. Sorry, Jeff, I wasn't pointing at you.
There you are.
but just to get there's a lot more technology out there. I mean, do you see Murray Lampert kind of utilizing new technologies or with the contractors that you do work with?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've adopted a lot of new technology. Some of it even before COVID, but some of it because of COVID, and improved our communications and our workflow processes that filters down to people in the field. I'm just curious, though, is we train managers and technical in the way of design, drafting, and interior design and those sort of things. In-house, we do that training. I mean, most people come with some experience, but I know some trades are actually training their people themselves. I bet you do, Jeff, right?
You have to. So early on, we recognized that the average worker that I had was at least in the late 40s, and we had a couple guys in their 50s, and that's not sustainable. So team them up with a younger guy that wants to learn. The older guy gets the opportunity to teach, make sure they're doing it safely, teach them the tricks. But at the same time, he doesn't have to tear up his body, humping the beams and doing the digging all the post holes for, say, the foundations for the deck post. So the teamwork there, the on-the-job trading, that has a cumulative effect that after a certain amount of time, that young person, we've seen time and time again, he's grown to the point where he can do his own basic deck, and then he can do his own full deck, or his own termite damage repairs in the industry that I was in.
So I applaud companies like you that have their own training, and I know others in other businesses, plumbing and electrical, where they're now training their people. But how do you find candidates? I mean, is it a hard process to find candidates?
Well, I think one of the things that you've recognized in your company, Greg, is you have a very good, tight-knit family culture.
Yeah.
So we've had a guest on the past, as business coach Mike Struzik with CEO Focus, and he's spent the whole time talking about you need to be able to clarify your culture, clarify your values to attract the same type of people, to show them the opportunities they have. And then the next step is you have to be able to recognize their needs, their wants, and their desires for the future to retain them.
Right.
So it's not just throwing out on Craigslist anymore and hope
Yeah.
somebody calls. So times have changed. You have to change with the times.
And time again, we've had a lot of guests on the podcast always mention where some of the best employees that they've had were family members of someone that was already working with them.
Right.
Where, or someone that they would recommend and trust. Because ultimately, if that person's been with you over a year, you can have a certain amount of trust with them. And, whether it's an incentive through the business where it's like, hey, if you have someone stay on and they're here for 6 months, then there's maybe a paid incentive. But in the end, whether it's a family, whether it's a friend, and they are willing to actually bring them into your company, I think shows a lot to the type of culture that a business owner does create for their employees, because the fact that they feel comfortable enough to bring someone and say, hey, I love working here, I think you would too. And I think that plays into a lot of that, the culture, the just the environment that you want to create for yourself, for one thing. You want people that you can enjoy being around with, and then ultimately your employees too.
I agree, and I mean, culture is so huge, and it's being seen by others, in other places, and so you can hire better when your culture is good. And I agree with you that some of our best hires have been recommended by someone within the business or a family member. We have brothers that are project managers, and they're great, so that's really good. But I just am concerned about how do we get this out to the masses,
Well, that's one of the things we're doing here, Greg.
Right here, tradespodcast.com, ladies and gentlemen.
We're trying to do our little part to highlight some of the benefits of the construction trades, the opportunities, you're a perfect example. You grew up in the family business, a successful business right now. And you're creating opportunities for other people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for 47 years. I mean, you guys have been in business, and a community outreach is something huge. I know Murray Lampert being here in San Diego because of that family culture that it's already been created within the city itself, and that community outreach side of things. Also, I mean, Jeff is looking to be setting up a tent over at a Harley Davidson in San Marcos, just to be able to promote it out to the community.
That's great. I mean, I think we should all spread the word and try to really get good attendance.
Yeah, absolutely. Clint August.
Clint's awesome.
He's a great guy, and he does this annual bike ride to promote and raise money for veterans. And I've always liked Clint, so I'm going to do my share to help promote his ride. But at the same time, there's going to be a couple business owners up there that enjoy motorcycle riding. That's going to help spread the word. And it's a good day for me to sit up there and talk about the trades.
That's perfect. And I mean, I think there should just be a coalition of businesses that are in need and that can help give back to the community, and also maybe open doors for students that want to learn a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. The power of many can add up to doing something. So
yeah, and that's always a good question. Getting that message out to the young adults or anybody that's looking to get into the trades. But once you grab them, Greg, how would you recommend someone to pick the career within the trade?
That's a good question. I mean, I like to build things or fix things. That was my passion. And then I learned other things that I really like a lot, but how you choose, I don't know what the answer to that is. I'd say probably look at all the choices in construction. There's everything from carpentry to drywall, finish work, fabrication, cabinetry, and see what really resonates with you.
Absolutely. I mean, if you Google construction trades and only look at how much they pay, you're doomed to set yourself up to getting paid well, but doing something you might not like. So I think it's better to find out, this is what a plumber does. This is what his daily routine will look like. Here's the
Right.
opportunities. Look at being an electrician. What's the possibilities for advancement? Am I really an artist? I'd spend elementary school and all through high school doing art projects. But the book wasn't the most enjoyable part of the test at the end of the classes. Do something maybe in tile or design work. So you got to reach in. In my belief, reach in and be able to ask yourself what you are, what makes you happy.
Absolutely. And then eventually you just have to jump in and pick something. Maybe you're not going to stay in that field, but it could lead to other things. Maybe you cross over to a different field, or maybe you get into supervision and not actually do the nails and hammer and nails stuff. But I started from the ground up, and that was super valuable for me to learn how things were built. And I would just observe, watch people try things, and that's how it starts.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's, and obviously from the story that you have from, your grandfather, not paying you until you felt like, or he felt that you can actually do, contribute to the company in that sense. And one story that stood out to me also is Rob Mudd that we had on the show, where he, at a young age, same thing, very driven, knew exactly school wasn't for him, but he went straight to a handful of construction sites and started saying, hey, I can work. What do you want me to do? And he was put out to do a numerous side of jobs, and he finally found one that he's like, okay, that I can do this for, or that he enjoyed doing it.
Right.
And after a certain period of time, he said, I can do this on my own, and went off and created his own business. And there's other stories that we have also where they've stuck around for two to maybe 6 years with that one employer. And then they found themselves, in the position to start their own business and go off and build their own career off of it as well. And that's something that a lot of the younger generation needs to hear more stories about, because nothing's going to get handed to you. Nothing's going to be put in front of you in exactly the way that you expect or want it. It's going to be more of a sense of, finding those opportunities that you want for yourself, and, creating the goals.
Yeah. And once you learn a skill, it's very rewarding. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing, is whatever it may be, you're making yourself more valuable. You're getting that reward of getting a job done. And I just think that's where it starts and how you build from.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I've read a couple of articles on the psychological benefits of using your hands to earn a living, and what happens when you go home. You have an appreciation for what you buy now. So if something breaks, your first reaction is, when you work with your hands, your first reaction is, what do I need to do to fix it, as opposed to, this is going to cost me so much to replace it.
Right.
So I always seen that out of my dad. We used to tease him about, duct tape and baling wire, But now as I've gotten older, I understand why, and didn't recognize it when I was growing up. And the other point that I think, Greg, you would agree with and can elaborate on, you can come out of high school and for a cheap amount of education, go to junior college and learn some basics. Or you can jump into a 4-year college and think you're going to be X and invest 4 years, go into debt, coming out of there, learning that, okay, I finished it, but I hate it.
Right.
Then you have to go find yourself again. So now you're 24, 25, finding yourself, but worrying about making a student loan payment too, as opposed to come out of high school, go get a job as a framer, a plumber, whatever. Do something that you're immediately earning a paycheck. You can immediately go out within a few months and qualify to get yourself that nice truck or that car that you've always wanted. Enjoy your life. And by the time you are 24 or 25, you can have a better handle on what you want to be. And if college is it, you're in a better position to absorb the education going back when you're 25, and you're going to be a lot more dedicated to getting that education, because now you understand its purpose and what you're going to use it for.
Yeah, and it's huge because I mean, youth nowadays with technology and different things that are coming out. I mean, I can imagine that you probably see it, like you said, from a different shift in the age that has been filling up your office a little bit more, highly due to your daughter. That they can bring new ideas.
Yeah, it's great. But I agree with Jeff. On the other hand, I look out in the field, and so, for example, our cabinet builder, who we've been working with for 30-something years, they're both getting towards retirement, and they have nobody lined up to take over.
No succession plan at all.
No succession plan. Yeah. And if they had brought in a couple people, even one person that they could teach the business, teach the skill, and also the business side, that business would live on. But maybe it'll get sold at some point. I don't know. But I just don't think people are always in the right mindset. So.
Yeah, we learn a lot when we get too old and need the lesson.
Right.
No, and I mean, trust me, it's even harder to grasp that goal mindset, especially at a young age, with so many different opportunities or what people see online on where they can be and what they want. But I think that's what our goal is here, to be able to spread those words and spread those stories, to the masses on that side of things. And you had mentioned that you recently have more employees than you had was before COVID.
Correct.
Yeah, more, and there was you guys said that there was like kind of a different hiring process that you guys kind of went through on that side of things. What necessarily were you looking for in those candidates?
So the way we are looking for people has changed, and also the way we interview people has changed a lot, because we are proud of our culture. We have a good working. Our office is very tight. We all work together as a team. There's no silos. There's no attitudes. And so we had to switch our hiring process and be more inclusive with different departments. So we would typically now interview someone 3 times before we make a decision. And it's usually in groups of 2. And we want to make sure that there's buy-in and that we feel that this person is going to fit into our culture. Because one person that doesn't fit just really disrupts the whole thing.
Absolutely.
We just want to preserve the culture we have. And so when you get good people, when someone isn't in the right seat, it's so obvious now.
Yeah.
You see it very quickly.
It's very disruptive. Yeah. Yeah. The days of the owner or the manager hiring somebody and walking them into the room and say, you're working with all these people, and they have no buy-in at all, and that person doesn't get along with them culturally or, whatever works. That's gone. So
the other thing I've heard is like where the person that's doing the interview and hiring at another company, I'm saying, it is intimidated by the person they're hiring, so they don't bring that person on. So the company suffers because of that.
Absolutely. I've seen that actually when we had somebody in our office do the initial interviews for somebody else in the office.
Right.
And I recognize that. It's like, okay, we're going to change this up a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, if they were going to be a great asset to the company and be able to, help the whole team out, exponentially, then that's exactly what the type of people that you want to hire.
Right.
Not to feel intimidated by, but know that they can be a great addition to the team.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's fun that we are at a point now where just everyone has camaraderie and we all help each other. And like I said, there's just no egos, attitudes. We're one company, and I always say that you need to use we first, not I first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a key thing, and it's something here within the trades industry that I feel like I've been learning a lot more about is the camaraderie that comes with the job. Everybody's learning from each other. The sense of teamwork that needs to happen in order to have a successful business, but not only that, but finish a great project that people are paying for.
Right.
The service ultimately. And I'm sure you get a lot of that feedback from your team too. You know, how fulfilling those projects once they are finished, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we all just, that's what our mission is to have a customer that's happy, not only with the service, but the quality of work. And I bet, Jeff, you would agree that if you finish a job and you make good money on it, but the customer isn't happy, it hurts, you know?
Absolutely. So one, you want to walk away from a project feeling proud about what you did to build it, fix it, whatever. And you want the customer to be happy too. And one of the things I've talked about and learned early on was the customer a year or 2 years later, they're going to remember the process. They're probably not going to remember how much they paid.
Right.
How did you make them feel during the process? How did you make them feel when the project was done? How do they feel about the project when it's done? You know,
the years of enjoyment they get.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I think is underestimated is when you go back, when there's a callback and you're courteous and you're prompt and you go give them service after the fact. I mean, that you can't, that's reputation building. You can't pay for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't show up with a contract and highlight where it says that you're covered.
Right.
You know, that just puts them on the defensive. You've immediately lost all credibility. No, you go back. I like one of the things you highlight in some of the things I've heard from you in the past, Greg, and I've done it too. You do what's right.
Yeah, do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
And that's why, like, when someone needs woodwork, wood replacement, termite damage, you're the only one, Jeff, that I refer, because I know you're going to treat them right. You're going to do a good job.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Greg. We have done a few projects over the years together, and I'm always grateful for the referrals, and I've always tried to do my best and treat people good to do it. So it's been part of the
doesn't go unnoticed.
The success of the company.
Yeah, that's amazing. And
I'm sorry, Dan. I got one final question for you, Greg, as we close out. You talked about the culture and the camaraderie that you have internally in the office, but I don't think this is something we've touched on here in the Trades Podcast at all. So if you're an electrician, there's an electricians group out there. They're going to have annual meetings, expos. I've gone to the Deck Expo for the last 12 of the 15 years that I've been a member of NADRA. So I've developed some relationships with other business owners out there, and that camaraderie, that sense of purpose that we all have together. You can find that in almost any trade. Floor coverings, plumbing, pool cleaning, whatever it is.
Right.
There's landscaping. There's an organization out there that's either local or national or both, that you can have that camaraderie that can last a lifetime also.
I agree.
So,
yeah, that's a good point. And I want to give you an opportunity. I mean, Greg, you've been awesome to be on the show here today. If any last thoughts that you can advice or anything that you want to let all the younger generation or anybody coming out of a certain career looking to get into the trades?
I'll just go back to what I said earlier. It's like nothing should be beneath you. And so if you're starting out and you want to learn a trade, you're going to learn quick. I mean, the best way to learn is to be next to someone that's a veteran that that knows that is already skilled, and you just suck up that knowledge and ask questions. There's no stupid questions, and don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Try things. I mean, you may make a mistake, but the next time you won't make a mistake, and just stay with it, because the pride of learning a skill, not only being able to make money, but to see a finished product, I mean, it's huge.
Absolutely.
That's great.
I really appreciate you coming on, Greg.
Thank you.
I think you're going to add some new perspective to the trades industry out there, to young adults, and hopefully they'll take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be on, and I am very passionate about this too. And it's sad to me that there isn't more. There's not more traction on getting people trained for different trades.
Well, we're here to help solve the problem in a little bit that we can do in the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And absolutely. And if you could, please pass out any info if anybody was looking to reach out to your company, if you guys are hiring also, what's the best way to reach out?
Best way is murraylampert.com. You can Google Murray Lampert, design, build, remodel, or Gregg Cantor, and we will come up all over the place. And so we're on all the social media platforms, website, and our direct number is 619-285-9222.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the tradespodcast.com right here. I'm DJ Danny. We had Jeff Mudd, and I want to thank Gregg Cantor with Murray Lampert. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.